Welcome everyone to Lone Star Spirit. We are going to complete our history on Texas Gulf Coast hurricanes. And as you can tell by the graphics on each side of me, we are going to end with the most recent large-scale hurricane in Texas history, and that is Hurricane Harvey. Now, we have skipped over a couple, that being Hurricane Beulah, Hurricane Allen, and Hurricane Ike. But the main focus of this entire five-part series was to bring awareness of the potential destruction, loss of life that hurricanes can bring, and whether it is a Category 1 or a Category 5 hurricane, the potential for property damage and loss of life is something that everyone should really pay attention to and take seriously. And again, that is the whole reason I did this particular series on these hurricanes. Now, before we get into Hurricane Harvey, I do want to take just a moment to recognize a supporter of the channel, and he has created something that I think is just absolutely fantastic. The story begins back when I was in 8th grade, and the only thing I really did in wood shop was I did a wooden Texas, and you're looking at it from the backside here. And for decades, really, it just kind of sat there, and I never really had any ideas of what to do with it. At some point, I wanted to turn it into a clock and things like that, and I just never got around to it. So one of my coworkers at my day job, Eric, was very gracious in doing this beautiful piece, and I'd like to show it to you right now. And he has really done a fantastic job with this. And a poem that he wrote himself. Not only is he a whiz with firearms and retail, and he's a jack of all trades, but he's also a poet. And I'd like to read the poem that he wrote and inscribed on this piece, and it goes like this: "In Texas' wild heart, dreams take flight, where courage reigns and stars ignite. Beneath vast skies, fierce spirits roam. In this land, elegance finds its home." And I just thought that was a fantastic way to encompass Texas, and he hit all bases with this one. Texans have fierce hearts. We're proud, and we make things happen. And again, I want to thank Eric for doing all of this, and he did a fantastic job. And I've already got a spot that's going to be right up there. I'm going to get this hung up for the next video. But I did want to take just a minute to recognize Eric and the fantastic work he did with this piece. So let's go ahead and get into our final episode of the Lone Star Spirit Hurricane series. Now, when we talk about Hurricane Harvey, or when I'm going to talk about it in this particular video, I'm going to look at it from my experiences with the storm. And I will admit that I did not leave. I stayed here, which was probably not the best move. And it's something that I've kind of gone, it goes against what I've been saying in the past 4 episodes of this series. But as we age and we experience things, we become a lot smarter when it comes to um, things happening in our lives and how we react to them. I've got a picture or a graphic of Hurricane Harvey radar that was out of Corpus Christi. This is National Weather Service radar out of Corpus Christi. And one of the things that I find so very interesting about Harvey, and there's a plethora of things that I found interesting with Harvey, is if you watch this radar loop, you can just see that it looks like just kind of an unorganized, really just unorganized thunderstorms that really didn't do much of anything, weren't doing much of anything as it came off of the Yucatan Peninsula. And as we go through our story with Harvey, you're going to notice that there were times where it just basically was nothing more. It started off as a tropical wave, disorganized storms, became a minimal tropical depression, minimal tropical storm, and then became another depression, very disorganized. And if you watch very closely as this radar loop goes through, and I want to thank the National Weather Service for actually putting this on YouTube so you can actually get it. But watch here, you can see it's just kind of unorganized, and then you can really start to see that rotation kick in and the rapid intensification of Harvey. And you can plainly see the eye, and there it is, just that little yellow dot in the middle of all that red and black as it goes in to the Rockport, Corpus Christi area. And all of that rain and all of the high winds, the storm surge, the damage that associated with it. And this radar loop really doesn't show what happened with Harvey after this point coming up right here where it just kind of stops. And it became somewhat disorganized, but the storm actually went back over landfall, or went back after making landfall, went back over water, and then went up into Louisiana. And the amazing things that happened during Harvey with all of the flooding, especially in the Houston area, in Brazoria County, and Galveston County, and the other in Fort Bend County, all of the surrounding counties in Southeast Texas, was just absolutely just crazy. And I've got a couple of personal videos that I'd like to share with you when it comes to what we saw when it came to Hurricane Harvey and the rainfall associated with that. This is after most of the rain had already left the area. We still had some remnants, some outer bands of the storm that were still going or in the area. And the area that's focused on right now is actually a parking lot. And that a lot of people use that as a place to go fishing. And you've got Phillips barges that come through that area quite often. And these areas were just completely covered. The road was closed. It probably goes another 100, maybe 100 yards to right there at the San Bernard River, and that's the 520 FM 521 bridge that goes over the San Bernard River, and that's just outside of Brazoria, maybe 2 miles outside of Brazoria, not very far at all. And just to give you some of an indication of some of the flooding that was associated with Harvey. Also, please remember that the San Bernard is a nice, wide, deep river up into maybe a mile north of Highway 35 coming out of West Columbia. It's dammed off at that point. So Above that, going more north and west, the river at places is maybe a foot deep. So at that point, I wasn't even going to attempt to go and look at what the flooding was over by Bowling or anything like that. And you may, if you've been a longtime viewer of this channel, then you may recognize some of this footage from the San Bernard series that I did a few months ago. This next video clip is right here along Highway 36, and we're coming up on Jones Creek, and this is actually just outside of town, and I have never seen Jones Creek this flooded. And I'll show you another graphic here once we cross over actually Jones Creek in the video. But apologize, this was a cell phone video and it wasn't my car, so I wasn't going to get the inside of another person's car wet. But you can see all of the water there along the highway. And then as we come up onto the actual creek, that there is just an insane amount of water in Jones Creek. And I have lived in Brazoria County for the vast majority of my life, and I have never seen Jones Creek that full and that inundated with just water. And it was really, really, really crazy that this was going on. And I hope I never have to see that ever again. This graphic here with my crudely drawn circle or oval, whatever you want to call it, shows exactly where we crossed over Jones Creek. And the reason that I circled that entire area is that Jones Creek basically feeds right outside or right off of the Intercoastal Canal that runs just south of Jones Creek. And that water with the storm surge that was associated with Harvey, plus all of that insane amounts of rain, really did contribute to Jones Creek becoming so inundated with water. And you can actually see just at the very top of that photo is the Brazos River. And we're going to look at a couple of photos from the Brazos River, or a couple of videos from the Brazos River as well.
Checked on
now we're coming up on the bridge that crosses over into Freeport. There again on Highway 36, and as you can see in the video there is just an insane amount of water there. And again, it had been a very, very, very long time since I had seen the Brazos River 20-fold. And again, it's something I hope I never, ever see again. And you can see that the Brazos is beyond bank full. And this is very close to what is considered the old mouth, or the new mouth, I apologize, the new mouth of the Brazos. And it's something that I would not wish on anyone. And the bad thing is you've got the sewage treatment plant right there by the Brazos, and if the Brazos gets really, really, really bad, then you know the city of Freeport, when it comes to waste management, is going to be in a whole heap of trouble. And we're going to continue around. There's a little bit of a turnaround here that takes you to 288, Highway 288 off of 36. And you can see that whole area is just, it is full of water there from rainfall. And there are a lot of low-lying areas in Freeport, but Freeport was, for the most part, was left pretty much unscathed, at least the areas that I was in when it came to Freeport, which was pretty close to the center of town, not the old downtown area, but very much the center of town. We're actually heading to my uncle's house at this point, but it was just something that Again, I would not wish this on my worst enemy. Now, this next video is Levee Road, and it's another place that we have already visited when it comes to Lone Star Spirit, TMOLR Texas, whichever one you're more familiar with, same channel. But this is the Brazos River right there along Levee Road, and again, it had been a long time since I had seen the Brazos this full and this turbulent. It was that water was absolutely just trucking along here, and I don't think the video really does the river speed, the current, that much justice. But it's been that water was absolutely trucking. So now we're going to look at the National Weather Service summary of Hurricane Harvey, and a lot of this is going to be verbatim from their report, and I'm going to put in some of my 2 cents in as well. But this is just a very telling story, more or less, of how hurricanes can be very, very unpredictable, and why we as individuals and as people who live along a coast, whether it be the Gulf Coast or if it be the Atlantic coast along the eastern seaboard, that we really do need to pay attention to our weather forecasters, National Weather Service, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. Get a weather radio, get a weather app on your phone. Be prepared when we have these storms starting to spin up. And as of recording, it's June 1st. It is the first day of hurricane season. So I cannot and will not go any further without saying I can't stress this enough, and I will not quit until everyone along the Gulf Coast and the eastern seaboard takes the time and the energy and and does whatever they need to do to ensure the safety of themselves and their families with these hurricanes, especially with this 2024 Atlantic hurricane season expected to be off the charts. So I cannot stress this enough. But let's get into Harvey and how this whole thing came to be. The birth of Harvey occurred on Sunday, August 13th, 2017, as a tropical wave emerged off the west coast of Africa, eventually merging with a broad area of low pressure near the Cabo Verde Islands. At first, it was thought the wave and the low pressure area would move more west-northwest, and this way it would be threatening the Lesser Antilles. However, this low stayed on a more westward course as it moved over the open Atlantic Ocean toward the eastern Caribbean Sea. For a few days on its westward track, the storm remained disorganized, and there was some uncertainty whether the low would become a tropical cyclone. However, by Thursday, August 17th, the National Hurricane Center began issuing advisories and forecasts on Tropical Cyclone 9 Thursday morning and Tropical Storm Harvey Thursday afternoon. So there's already some signs of rapid intensification with this storm in its early stages. Tropical storm warnings were issued that afternoon for Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Tropical Storm Harvey impacted the Windward Islands on Friday, August 18th, entering the eastern Caribbean Sea as a minimal tropical storm and eventually weakening to a tropical wave late Saturday evening. Although there was some potential for the remnants of Harvey to reorganize into a tropical cyclone failed to form as the remnants of Harvey moved onto the Yucatan Peninsula Tuesday morning, August 22nd. Now, that goes back to the video that I showed at the beginning of the video, that as it came off of the Yucatan Peninsula, it looked like just a tropical wave, tropical depression, very disorganized. And then all of the sudden, you start to see that circulation, very strong, defined eye. And there was some massive, rapid intensification of this storm. With the very warm waters in the Bay of Campeche and the western Gulf of Mexico, the National Hurricane Center was fairly confident that the remnants of Harvey would reform into a tropical cyclone. At 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, Wednesday, August 23rd, the tropical depression Harvey reformed. Initially, the National Hurricane Center believed Harvey would become either a strong tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane before making landfall somewhere between Brownsville early Friday morning and Houston early Saturday morning, with the most likely location being near the Rockport area late Friday night. So National Hurricane Center, I think, did a fantastic job of forecasting pretty much where the hurricane, the storm would go. However, with wind shear in the western Gulf of Mexico weakening, Tropical Storm Harvey was intensifying quickly, so that there was no wind shear. The wind shear that was there was not strong enough to keep Harvey from strengthening. By Wednesday evening, Harvey was forecast to make landfall as a hurricane somewhere over the Texas coast. On Thursday, August 24th, Harvey's impact on the middle and upper coast seemed almost certain and potentially devastating. Not only was Harvey forecast to become a hurricane by Thursday evening, but it was expected to strengthen and make landfall as a major hurricane, Category 3 or higher, on Friday. Worse yet, once the storm moved inland, it was forecast to eventually stall and meander over south or southeast Texas for days. Thus, Major Hurricane Harvey was not only forecast to produce devastating winds, but extremely heavy and excessive rainfall, producing devastating and historic flooding over areas especially east of the center of circulation, still most likely just north of Campano Bay. Harvey underwent rapid intensification and quickly became a Category 3 hurricane on Friday at 2 p.m., which is about 120 mile an hour sustained winds, and then a Category 4 hurricane at 130 mile an hour sustained winds early Friday evening. As Harvey slowly approached the coast, the National Weather Service in Corpus Christi issued a rare extreme wind warning. Extreme wind warnings are issued for landfalling major hurricanes with winds of 115 miles an hour or higher. Harvey was forecast to have winds in the eye wall between 115 and 130 miles per hour. So this storm was just crazy intense. And you could see just by the narrative there that I read that Hurricane Harvey comes off of the Yucatan Peninsula as basically a tropical depression, and within just a couple of days had already intensified to a Category 4 storm. And forecasters, again, I got to give it to them, they did a really good job of alerting the public, hey, the storm's going to make landfall, and chances are it's going to stall. It's going to hang out here for a few days. But I don't think that anybody thought that the rains associated with Harvey were going to be as bad as they were. So with the cone of Hurricane Harvey, again, forecasters did a fantastic job. I mean, they were almost spot on with this. And I've got a picture here of the forecast cone. And if you're not familiar with the forecast cone, where the actual cone is, the colored in white area, the storm could go anywhere within that cone. It could go a little bit more to the north, a little bit more to the west. But the forecasting when it comes to the use of the forecasting cone here has become really, really, really good over the past several years, and I cannot thank forecasters, National Hurricane Center, all the National Weather Service, NOAA, all of their work when it comes to making sure that we have the information that we need to make sure we're making good decisions when it comes to these hurricanes and their landfall. Now, we talk a lot about the rainfall that was associated with Harvey, and I've got a graphic here. It kind of shows the track, and it kind of meandered right there between Corpus Christi between San Antonio and probably Freeport. It was closer to San Antonio. It kind of meandered there and just kind of hung out, and then goes back over the Gulf of Mexico. But you can see right there in the Houston area, we're talking more than 30 inches of rain in a 4-day total. And I believe some of the estimates, some of the rainfall totals that came back from that 4-day rainfall was over 45 inches of rain. And that's a lot of rain over a 4-day period. That's more than 10 inches a day in just the Houston area. And we're talking, in where I'm from, down in Brazoria County was getting 20 to 30 inches of rain. The southern portions of Brazoria County were getting anywhere from 8 to 10 and higher inches of rain. And now, again, these are a lot of these are estimates, and some of the rainfall went as far, the severe rainfall, the heavy rainfall, 6 to 8 inches, went as far as Austin. So this area was just completely inundated. And north of Houston, you've got a lot of low-lying areas, a lot of hilly areas, especially when you get into Austin County, Washington County, and into the Navasota area. You've got a lot of peaks and valleys. It's rolling hills. It's absolutely gorgeous. But a lot of those places, when you get inundated with rain in those areas, if you're down in one of those little valleys, the water's got to go somewhere. So the Brenham area got hit pretty hard with that. Beaumont area got hit very hard with it. And as you can see, the forecasted track after Harvey had gone back into the Gulf of Mexico was right over the Beaumont area, and then goes into Louisiana north of Lake Charles, and then goes on into Arkansas, and it affected a little bit of western Mississippi. So this was just an insane, crazy storm. And when it comes to Harvey and the winds, this is another thing that again, historical hurricane tracks when it comes from the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. You can find these on the National Hurricane Center's website. I want you once again to look over on the left hand of the screen and notice that the wind and pressure there, again, there's that direct correlation between the higher wind speed and the very low millibars. And I believe it was around 935 with the pressure. So low pressure with the hurricanes, higher wind gusts. And we didn't quite get to 125 knots or 120. We got around 120, maybe 123 miles an hour, somewhere around that area. So this was, again, very, very big time, very large, very powerful storm. And another thing that I was able to come across when doing the research for this one was KHOU, Channel 11 in Houston, had some pictures posted of the flooding that they experienced when it came to the rains from Harvey, and these pictures are just absolutely insane. And this is the inside of the KHOU offices, and you can see that there's probably a good 2 feet of water there in the office areas. There's also another one, looks like it's just from a different angle right there. This is on the outside in a parking lot of the KHOU television studios right there. A lot of flooding, a lot of rain in there. The flooding was really, really, really bad. And I've come across some pictures of the flooding where it was basically, you know, we're looking at 8 to 10 feet of rain. Some of these pictures you can see in this one here, it's almost to the bottom of the roof on some of these houses. And people here, it's all the way to the roof. I mean, there you can see, it looks like a shed over there on the right hand side that is almost completely gone, and you can't see anything but the roof. As with the house here, a lot of people lost their houses, lost a lot of belongings, lost a lot of mementos and things of that nature. Here's a picture looking toward downtown Houston, with the flooding there. And that was the big thing. That was the big takeaway with Hurricane Harvey in our area, in the southeast coastal bend area of Texas, you know, Houston area, that even though Rockport was basically, for all intents and purposes, dang near destroyed, the destruction wasn't just with the eye or close to the eye. It was felt over a large portion of the state of Texas. And when an area gets 45 inches of rain in a 4-day period, and the water's just not going to go away in a couple of days. We were talking about and hearing about the flooding that was occurring in the Houston area, in Brazoria County, for weeks. And up to a year later, people were still trying to recover from Hurricane Harvey's deluge of rain that happened with that. So the big thing to take away from Hurricane Harvey is to make sure that you are taking these forecasts, these warnings, these watches, whatever kind of forecast, you know, if you're under a hurricane watch, hurricane warning, tropical storm, tropical depression, wind warning, whatever, tornado warnings, take all of these warnings seriously. They're not there to make you feel bad and give you make you fearful of everything. And I used to be that guy that was like, they're sensationalizing the weather and stuff, and some do. I will admit to that. Some people do sensationalize weather, but when it comes to hurricanes, you can see them coming. You've got time to do what you need to do to get out and do everything you can to save your house. More importantly, save your family and yourself. And there's a few things that I feel that you really do need to get your hands on. One of those things is a weather radio, and I've got one myself. It is on I turn it on right before I go to bed. I've gotten to the point where I really can't sleep without the weather radio being on. But something as simple as this can be a lifesaver. And it It's got a rechargeable battery through USB. You can actually crank it. It's got a hand crank, so you can charge it that way, and it can also be charged using solar. And I can pick up on a nice clear evening three different weather stations that are reporting. I usually stick with the one that's based out of, I believe it's out of LaPorte National Weather Service over there. I can also pick up the one out of Wharton County, and I listen to that. They kind of include Brazoria County a little bit better than the one in LaPorte, but get a weather radio. Get a tracking map, whether it be paper based or if it's something along the lines of you can make one up on your computer, or use the ones that is supplied by the National Hurricane Center or NOAA or National Weather Service. Keep your eyes on the tropics this season. Again, they're expecting this to be a unprecedented, wild, and very, very, very active hurricane season. Anywhere from 4 to 7 major hurricanes this season. So we need to be diligent. And reports from several sources are saying that Texas coast is overdue for a Category 3 or higher storm. I hope it doesn't happen. I pray it doesn't happen. But, you know, humans have very little control over the weather. And all we can do is make sure that we are prepared for these storms and prevent the loss of life. If it's a home, if it's a car, things like that can be replaced. A human life cannot be replaced. So that is something that we need to take very, very seriously. That's going to wrap up our look at Texas Gulf Coast hurricanes. Again, I invite you to go to the National Hurricane Center's website if you want to learn more about any hurricane that has hit North America. You can find it there. They've got great summaries on these, and you can look at all of the tracking and everything like that. And if it's not labeled under historic hurricane summaries, a lot of times you can just click on that interactive map for any hurricane, and you'll see tracks of other hurricanes, and you can actually click on those and look at those as well. Education is going to be your best tool when it comes to being prepared and knowing what to do when these hurricanes are coming toward you. So everyone, enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your weekend. It's Saturday, June 1st, the first day of hurricane season. We've got all the way to November 30th to keep our eyes open and be very, very diligent. Before I go, one last thing. I want to send well wishes and prayers to all the individuals who have been affected by the severe weather in North Texas, around the Dallas area, and in Oklahoma, Arkansas. We've had some reports of several tornadoes. This morning we had a pretty nasty thunderstorm come through here. Brazoria County was under a severe thunderstorm warning. There were some very nasty thunderstorms in eastern Brazoria County this morning. We are under a severe thunderstorm watch till about 6 o'clock tonight. So the atmosphere is very unstable. But wherever you're at in the world, wherever you're at in the United States, wherever you're at in Texas, be vigilant. Keep your eyes to the skies. Make sure you get a weather radio. I cannot stress this enough. Get a weather radio. This could be this could be a lifesaver. It really could. And you can take it anywhere. It's not big. It's really, really, really small. So you can take it just about anywhere you need to go. It runs off of solar, runs off of rechargeable battery, and you can hand crank it to charge it as well. You can take it just about anywhere. But the weather radio is probably your first line of defense when it comes to severe weather, hurricanes, tornadoes, thunderstorms, whatever it may be. Like I said, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for all the time that you've given me to watch these videos. I'm Charles. This is a little Lone Star Spirit. Everybody have a great weekend and have a great work week.